What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point, here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And well, we have another segment of Set Point Extra Points. And with me, I have count them, two guests here. This is two superstars that you will probably be seeing in the near future. We have the setter of Long Beach State, as well as the libero of Long Beach State. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, Mr. Aidan Knipe and Mason Briggs. How are you two doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having us, Teran.
I'm well, Teran. Thanks for having us.
Anytime, and I'm glad to have you both on. So before we get on in here, first and foremost, we got to basically go over the ground rules. Just for anyone or the feds that's listening, these are the thoughts and opinions of myself, Teran Rodriguez, Aidan Knipe, and Mason Briggs, and not the thoughts and opinions of Long Beach State, IE Sports Radio, or any third or fourth party organizations. With all that said and done, gentlemen, great to have you on. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Last week was a very amazing week for you all. You played UCLA twice. You won one, but you lost one. What were some takeaways that you both had from those matches?
I can take this first. First of all, we're very thankful to be able to play such a talented team early in the year. Getting to play a Final Four level team in February is a great advantage and will prep us through the rest of the season. And I'm happy with the way our guys competed, even though we split and went 1-1. It's not an easy win up in Poly, and neither it was at Friday night at the Pyramid. So being able to get to battle against those guys and play some high level volleyball is always fun.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Aidan. And like our thoughts piggyback off of each other pretty well usually. The question is, what are some of the biggest takeaways? But I think you can take away everything from, things we need to work on, things that we really like that we did, the environment, playing at home in front of that type of crowd is hopefully going to get us to where we want to be in May. And like Aidan said, a little bit of a foreshadow of what's to come. And we've been in those situations, and we're ready to continue throughout the rest of the season and work on some more things so that we're prepped when it's that time.
Now, do you two know anyone on the UCLA men's volleyball team personally? And if so, who is it? Because last week I had Alex Knipe on, and he said he knew, I think, Mason and Aidan and a bunch of others.
Yeah, I think between Aidan and I, and obviously a lot of other guys on both teams, I think we all know each other. It's a pretty small world in men's volleyball, but there are quite a few on that team that we've been friends for a while. We grew up playing in the back then called High Performance USA program, now National Team Development Program. And so we've been, at those camps all summer long, playing with each other, or some of us even traveling the world together. And I know me, Aidan, and Alex have been a part of that crew as long as, probably over 8 years now, something like that, as well as Clark and a couple other guys.
Yeah, we're really lucky to have grown up in Southern California in that kind of volleyball scene. So it's a very small world, like Mason said. So getting to compete against those guys every weekend, whether it was with club or going to play USA with those guys or SCVA high performance, any of those kind of things. So yeah, I mean, not just Mason and I, but I think both of our rosters intertwine through their volleyball histories.
Now, I have you two on because, well, for starters, setter and libero are probably one of the tougher positions in volleyball, in my opinion. How tough are your positions, in your opinion?
Well, I wouldn't say anybody has it easy. No, especially when you get to this kind of level. Even if you take the opposite, right? Everybody says opposite's the easiest position in volleyball. Our opposite comes in and passes and has to take care of business from the end line and has to block the ball. I wouldn't say there's any easy route. I'm not here to pinpoint somebody as the easiest or the hardest, but I would say every position is challenging.
Yep, I think well said. You could, it's a fun debate or a funny argument with each other or across the sport, and I know people like to stir it up, but it's all tough, and it's all tough in its own, its own respect. Like, for example, the opposite, maybe you have less things to do, but that could be challenging in itself. I always kind of talk about that as a libero position is, primarily your serve, receive, and defense, and you don't have a lot of other ways out. You can't even serve in the men's game. So, whether it being you have less tasks or less things that you can do, or more things that you can do, that could, both ends make it easier or harder on an individual or even the team. So it's a fun debate, but it's not easy. And like Aidan said, especially at this level.
Now, this is a question for you, Mason. I saw you played a little bit of setter back in your day at Alamany. How much respect do you have for Aidan as a setter and for all setters around the world?
All the respect. I mean, volleyball is the coolest sport in that way, where I think, I can rely on Aidan if we're pulling the ball off of the net a little bit, and he has my back in that way, right? We're pulling the ball off on a really tough serve maybe, and feeling comfortable to do that. That's, probably the biggest thing. I played setter back in high school when it was probably a little bit easier, maybe harder in the aspect of balls are all over the place, but it's not nearly as tough as the balls that are coming as fast and as constant as they are in the collegiate game. So obviously the most respect. And I feel like we do a good job of kind of, helping each other and managing each other through those situations. And, as long as, we keep the team together, it's kind of like our job that we can continue to do.
And then here's a question for you, Aidan. Mason is regarded as one of the top liberos and players in the nation. What makes him a great teammate?
Well, if you were just to watch from the outside looking in, there's very little to really never any negativity that he spreads. He's a big promoter of positivity on the court. And that's huge in his position because he doesn't kill the ball. So it's not easy for him to get super fired up, like naturally. Like you can't just go up, bounce a ball and be fired up. Like you kind of got to find ways. And pairing that with him being able to pull some guys along while leading his passing unit, he does a great job. And even when I struggle in that area sometimes, like I'll definitely go through my dips and my valleys, he's very, very level and keeps me level headed. And I think we bounce off of each other pretty well, but he definitely helps big time leading that team.
Now, the depth on this team is quite amazing. Tell me, both of you, who are some players that have been putting in work in practice or in the weight room that I or maybe other people don't seem to talk about a lot in terms of men's volleyball?
I think my standout guy was Lazar. Lazar at the beginning of the year, I was going in and lifting a lot extra outside of our team lifts, and he would always tag along with me at 8 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever time it was. And throughout the entire fall, he joined me. And then alongside guys like Daniil and Seba, and even some of our younger guys like Kellen Larson and Ford, and those guys who just came in at the semester break are really trying to play some catch up and get some work in. But I wouldn't say anybody on our team does a poor job of putting in extra work. We have a very good culture of everybody pulling their own weight and nobody being dead weight.
Yeah, I like that. And there's even been a crew that's gone in before the games. I know you mentioned a few of them, and Ryan and maybe even BB and Ty Carson. Some of these younger guys and even older guys that just want to play more and want to put in work and also help the younger guys, with their journey. So it's cool to see them coming in before the games. People getting extra lifts before the games or maybe on the weekends. It's cool to find the other things that people are doing as well. For example, like Nate Badley, he's a freshman, and I called him a couple times during the week, and he's like mid-wind, hey, I'm running along the beach. Like, I had no clue. So stuff like that, there's probably a bunch of people doing a lot of things that you would never even know. Me and Ryan went in together a lot of the fall in the evenings and got some reps. And I know there's some guys that go in the mornings or evenings or even weekends. So I think everyone's kind of carrying their weight in that aspect. And like Aidan said, it's a part of the culture, and it's not like you have to be doing it, but there's something that just makes you want to do that, especially when you know that your teammates are doing it as well.
Now, this may sound like a little bit of a cliche question, but what's it like being coached by Alan Knipe? I know Aidan, he's obviously a father. Let's not beat around the bush, but what's it like being coached by Alan Knipe?
I was waiting for you to ask that. Everybody asks that. It's definitely an interesting dynamic. I'm thankful for it. Don't get me wrong. I would never see myself playing anywhere else. I knew if I was going to play college volleyball, it was going to be at Long Beach because volleyball is such a small sport. If I were to go anywhere else of a high caliber school, I would be playing Long Beach. And at the end of the day, when I was deciding, I think I would have rather played for him than played against him because he knows all of my tactics and he knows what I want to do as a setter. So I am thankful for the opportunity to be able to play here, whether it was with him or without him. I think even if he wasn't here and wasn't a coach, I would end up at Long Beach still. I love the program and I love the city. But yeah, I'm thankful for it. I'm very lucky to be coached by a former Olympic coach and a coach for however long he's done it. I think it's 25 years. And yeah, I just consider myself lucky.
I think it's cool that you asked the question, that it might be a cliche question, not only because of Aidan, but just because everyone asks, everyone wants to know. And I think that kind of has an answer in itself. It's such a big question, a common question, something that people want to know. And why do they want to know? Obviously, because there's something special that he has done, that he has created, and things that he does, and even just the talks he gives, the words he says, it's unreal. You even hear parents talk about it. They love hearing Alan talk, and so he is everything you could even wish for in a college coach. And I think these past, luckily for us, we've gotten an extra year with him. 5 years, 4 years have been amazing and learned a lot. And also, to tag along with a little bit of what Aidan was saying and the recruiting and all of that, as well as I got an inside look. And that's kind of how I always explained it. Part of how I chose Long Beach is my older brother went here, and I guess you could compare it similar to Aidan. It wasn't necessarily I want to play with my brother, but I just got to see what the program was like and what he was a part of and the things that were going on at Long Beach. So I think when you get to experience that, when you get to see that, you realize that there's something special.
Now, obviously, Alan Knipe is an amazing coach, but his assistants are also quite well. We'll start with Nick McRae and you, Mason. If I recall correctly, I did an article on you, and I interviewed him, and he helped you basically become the libero that you are today and help you improve. What's it like being coached by Nick McRae?
It's a cool dynamic because, to circle back to all the friends and the high performance aspect and growing up, he was one of those coaches that was with us for a while as well. So I had already been coached by him, been around him, and same thing with my brother being at Long Beach. I was around a lot. So we have a very good relationship overall, like on and off the court, and it's been amazing. And we've been able to have some talks and have meetings, whether it's film meetings or just talking about life or business or whatever. And so that dynamic there again has just been amazing, and I'm really grateful for him and everything he's done.
And then Aidan, I obviously didn't forget about you. McKay Smith is someone that I kind of know as well. He was the assistant coach at Orange Coast College, helped Travis Turner win a state championship. What's it like being coached by McKay Smith, and what are some of your favorite memories with McKay?
Well, first note, one thing I really appreciated is all the coaching staff at Long Beach has always stayed within the program, whether that was Tyler or Scott Dzinski, or no matter how far back you go on the list, those coaches are players of the program. So everybody understands what you've gone through, and they've gone through it themselves. And on that level, you can really relate to people. And to touch on McKay, I love playing for McKay. He was predominantly my coach my freshman year because I was redshirting. So I was on that second side sharing reps, and I'd go in, watch film with him, bounce ideas off of him. And he's the guy that you feel that you can relate to the most and vent to if you have to, or joke around with. And he brings that personality to the gym. And him as a player, he was a very hardworking guy. He was the captain. He led by example in the weight room, on the court, whether he got a ton of playing time or not. So it's very commendable. You have a lot of respect for him. And it's hard to pinpoint one favorite memory with him. I think it's just the small stuff, whether it's I'm always in his van when we're on the road, or him getting us food, or whatever it is. I appreciate all the small stuff he does.
Excellent answer from the both of you. Now, this week you are playing Edward Waters and Central State of the SIAC Conference. It seems like NCAA men's volleyball is growing. Talk about this week and what we could all do as media to help grow the game of volleyball, or anyone else in particular to grow the game of volleyball.
Well, I think
it's
them
great.
coming. You go for it, Mason. You got it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to keep my answer short and simple. It's just like any other team, any other opponent that's kind of in the same situation. I think it's great that there is some new life in volleyball, some additions to the sport. You're seeing these different teams, these different faces, and instead of like, oh, who's that or what's this, it's something exciting. It's something awesome, and we felt that a little earlier on in the season as well. And these teams are grateful to come and play here and in the Pyramid, and especially with us hosting this year, there's kind of like that added energy to it. So I think it's great. I think these new awesome conferences and energy towards men's volleyball are awesome, and hopefully there is some continued appreciation and support from those schools, from the rest of the schools, and kind of what we're all doing, and we're fitting them into to play them, and they want to play us, which is great, right? There's not just a separation, but we're all in it together. It's nothing crazy or abnormal. It's just another team, another conference, and hopefully it just continues to grow in that aspect.
Like Mason said, we're really lucky with the exposure that we get, the fans that we have, the venue that we play in. So bringing in new teams that we haven't really played before, haven't played a ton, I think is great on both ends. They get the exposure that they're looking for, and they get to play in the greatest venue in college volleyball. And we get to continue to expand the sport and keep bringing these newer teams out, or younger overall programs out, and by giving them that experience of getting to play in the Pyramid. Like, I still remember my first time playing in the Pyramid. It's unforgettable. So getting these newer teams or these smaller athletic departments chances to come out and play against Long Beach and play in the venue that we have is, I think, a great stepping stone for them, and get some more exposure to those smaller conferences and schools.
Now, Big West Conference play is not for another 3 weeks, but how important are these next 3 weeks going into Big West Conference play?
These are massive. It's easy to step back and say, well, we can kind of throw away the pre-conference schedule and just only worry about doing well in conference and worry about seeding. But if you look at Mason and I's last 2 years going to the Final Four, we haven't gone as Big West tournament winners. We've gone as at-large bids, and that's due to the body of work that we put in and the strength of schedule that we have in our non-conference schedule, as well as our success in conference. So we try to treat every match exactly the same, whether it's the last match of the year or it's the first match of the year. It doesn't really matter to us. So treating each match, whether it's out of conference or in conference, with the same level of respect is really important to us.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. We're talking about conferences, new conferences. Shout out to the Big West for everything that they've done, and the attention and support that they have towards men's volleyball. And I think it's a really cool dynamic, kind of what Aidan was saying, where, in men's volleyball, you get an at-large bid or you win your conference. And we've relied on that at-large bid, maybe not relied on, but it's kind of worked out that way the past couple of years. And, you take a step down. It's like, okay, you got to win the conference championship to get in. We didn't do that, but we also won the regular season, conference. So it's really interesting. You could win the regular season conference, you could lose the conference tournament and not get into the NCAA tournament. if you don't put together a good body of work like we're doing now. And not only is it important just to get better and for this experience, but if you really look at it, the games do matter, and those wins matter, and it can come down to that if, with the strength that the Big West has.
Teran Rodriguez here of Set Point on IE Sports Radio, interviewing Aidan Knipe and Mason Briggs of Long Beach State men's volleyball. A couple more questions, and then I'll let you two go. Mason mentioned this, that Long Beach State is going to be hosting the NCAA tournament, and it's an expanded field. Talk about how special that is, hosting the NCAA tournament, and how it's no longer a 6-team tournament. It's now an 8-team tournament.
I mean, it's amazing. Aidan and I both, we had been at the championship games, and we've had those conversations about, watching this team before we were even here. And everyone knows the last time it was hosted at Long Beach, it was really, really, really special. And my brother was on that team. To be able to win at home in front of Long Beach Nation, gives me the chills. Our last year, our 5th year, everything we've talked about, everything we've worked towards. And I think it would be, the craziest end to this entire story.
Yeah, we still have a long schedule ahead of us. We still have a fair amount of matches to play, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But like Mason said, we've been looking forward to this moment since we were getting recruited. This was part of the conversation. It's going to be at Long Beach in your 5th year. So hopefully, if everything works out right and we continue playing the volleyball that we're capable of playing, we'll be in that match, and hopefully we'll be able to make something happen.
Awesome stuff. Don't want to look too far ahead. And the last thing I need to ask you two, this is a fill in the blank question. Long Beach State wins the national championship if they blank.
You want to take this first, Mace?
You got it. I gotta think. I get one blank.
Yeah. How many words do we get?
You get
one word?
Use as many as you wish. You could use as many as you wish.
How many letters?
As many as you want. It could be a long answer, short answer, letter rip.
I'll go first, and I do think that there's more to it. I think if you were to put one quote on this, it wouldn't be enough. But I've said this a couple times before, and I think even kind of going after our Europe trip. I know this is more than just your fill in the blank, but we were good, and we played a lot of people. We played, with that depth of our team, and we didn't even have everyone in our entire team. But after that, it was like, okay, I'm interested to see how we compete against these teams. And I think we had a pretty good fall, and, we're going strong this season, and we know there's a lot of things we can work on. And back to what I was saying is I think that if we just play as a team and we are the best team, what I mean by that is, everything that we've kind of talked about in this little interview so far, you asking me about Aidan, him asking, or you asking him about me, that sort of thing. And I think we have the pieces, and we can just continue to be a really, really good team, whether that's swagger, whether that's confidence, obviously showing up when we need to. So I think if we stay together as a team, and I don't just mean the guys on the court, I mean, the people beyond just the guys on the court. And obviously, you always have that conversation with Long Beach. We're playing against a really, really, really good second team, third team in practice every single day. So I think if we can just continue to be a really, really, really good team, on the court, off the court, then I think there's a good shot.
I'm going to go with compete and work when nobody's watching. So like you touched on earlier with some of your earlier questions, you asked about who's putting in the work, who's putting in that extra work. And I feel that most of our roster, if not all of our roster, is doing that in their own way, whether that's weight room, training room, rehab, getting extra reps on the court. As long as we continue to have everybody bought in at every level and compete like we're capable of in our practice gym, things will work out for us.
Well, excellent response. And listen, gentlemen, I really do appreciate you two coming on and letting me interview you. Do you have any more shout outs or do you have any plugs you want to plug in before we sign off?
I'm all good on my end.
All good.
Excellent. All right. And that's going to wrap up this segment of Set Point Extra Points. He's Mason and Aidan, and I'm Teran Rodriguez, and I will see you all next time.